Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to askNK. So, the folks at Epic Games have recently released a brand new version of Twinmotion 2025.1.1 and this now introduces a couple of enhancements and features for real-time visualization. And this update builds on the previous Twinmotion 2025.1 release which we've already covered on the channel, and this release focuses on performance, improvement, new materials, and workflow enhancement. The very first feature which is now available in Twinmotion 2025.1.1 is the new 3D grass material. And this is a significant addition. The addition of 3D grass material now allows creators to simply generate realistic and procedural grass on any surface, as this adapts to contours or static objects, offering customization options that includes the grass type, color, and also wind interaction. And unlike the previous grass material that we have, this is not heavily computational dependent, so you can simply select a simple surface and apply 3D grass, tweak it however you want, and get the most out of it. However, it is currently limited to static objects and may exhibit a couple of limitations when rendering with Lumen. Other than that, this is a wonderful achievement, and for those who are thinking about creating realistic 3D grasses which they can tweak and get the best quality out of grass in Twinmotion, then the new 3D procedural grass is definitely a wonderful one. Twinmotion 2025.1.1 also comes with a couple of interesting modeling tools improvement. First off, faces and normals can now be edited on a separate tab altogether. So unlike what we had before, at this point, if you simply go over to the Faces tab, you can edit the face and the normal of your geometry right there. Selected faces can also be detached from object, and you can now easily split objects. And splitting objects can be done either by selecting the connected polygon groups or selecting the material IDs. So if you do import models from the internet, say for example in most cases you would like to split this object, move them around, you can now do that by simply selecting the materials, and then you can split them, or you can select the connected polygroups and split this. This is going to be super useful, especially in cases where you like to customize the model that you've either downloaded or the model that you're currently working with. And against the splitting tool, there's now a brand new merge tool which simply merges multiple objects into one, and this will be super useful if you like to make a kit bash combination of several tools, just in case you like to distribute this across your scene. In situations like this, the merge tool and the split tool will come in very handy. There's some interesting improvements to the mirror tool, as this now adds an apply button to the mirror tab to avoid double mirroring scenarios. And speaking about modeling and coordinate, the XYZ and coordinate panel has now been redeveloped to support world and relative coordinates. At the same time, you can now simply do simple calculations or throw in mathematical expressions in the coordinates field. So for example, if you like to move a simple mesh, instead of dialing the number, you can simply dial in a multiplication or an addition to get the exact result you're going for. It is now easier than ever for you to copy and paste object transforms. So in most cases, you might have one object in a particular place as a placeholder, and you like another object to actually transport itself towards that point. Similar to what we have in most DCC apps, this is now super possible, as you can copy and paste transforms. At the same time, there is also the reset transform values as well, and this allows you to reset the transform value of any object to the default 0 values. And while we speak about transforms and coordinates, the Edit Pivot tool has now gotten a big update. So in most cases, when you get to import models from the internet, you get to deal with the fact that the pivots are either not placed where they're supposed to be. And this is where the Edit Pivot tool comes in very handy. So instead of dealing with traveling around, finding the pivot, editing the pivot tool to get the exact center, or maybe get these to align to a specific part of the model, you can now use either of the presets for the editing options that are now available to get this working. My most favorite one definitely has to be the center pivot, as this just simply aligns the pivot to the center of the object. And of course, if you're into rotational stuff, you'll definitely find the center pivot down a very useful one as well. 10 new clay materials has now been added to Twinmotion library, and you can literally use this for so many cool stuff. As much as this has been intended for the automotive industry, you can also use this for various scenarios as well, as this works perfectly fine with most use cases. Nvidia DLSS 4 support is now available with this new release of Twinmotion, as the support for the latest improvement of Nvidia Series 20 and 50 graphic cards for better performance in Twinmotion is now available. So if you're using any of these cards, you can now simply access the DLSS 4 settings in Twinmotion by simply going over to the preference panel, navigating to super resolution, and playing with the settings right there. And this new support brings about some interesting improvements which combines multiple features to enhance visuals, improve stability, and boost real-time sim performance. And in terms of collaboration, the cloud-based configurator, which was introduced in Twinmotion 2025.1, builds on that to bring about a more interactive 3D presentation that showcases different variations of a single project to clients. And this now has a couple of interesting updates as well, as this new release of Twinmotion now features abilities to use meshes as triggers, and this can range from using a door handle to open a door, as well as support for storing different transformation states as variation. So if you're thinking about making variations, or possibly you're just thinking about creating a configurator which you can use on the cloud as well, this is also super possible. There's also some nice improvements to the whole cloud-based configurator tools that are now available, and these and more stuff are now here for Twinmotion. So for those who are thinking about exploring any of these, or possibly you'd like to read up on the camera initial and scroll wheel speed which has now been improved, or possibly you'd like to know more about the new Path Tracer Firefly slider which is now introduced in Twinmotion 2025.1.1, all of this alongside bug fixes across animation, content and library, core, configurator, import and interpolation, presenter and cloud presenters, render and export tools, and just a lot more are now available, and you can simply go through and check them out. The folks at Epic Games have actually worked on this a lot, and they've made this release a wonderful update release so far. Hopefully, we're also going to be getting more updates to Twinmotion, and some of them might cut across template and demos. We've also got some stuff that has to do with real-time delivery. Of course, immersive light animation might be something that might be coming. Enhanced motion blur looks cool. Nanite would look pretty impressive if it comes. Hopefully we'll get to see this in the next release. There's also the photo match, which is also pretty interesting for those who like to do like quick HDRIs based on images. And in terms of productivity and improvement, there's a ton of things right here. Multi-user editing, all of these are currently seen as in progress. Enhanced realism with camera shake looks pretty impressive. Integration with the Fab library, it would be nice to have something like that. We've also got the per object tessellation setting, that looks cool. The preview part animation sequence, all of these things might definitely be coming with the new update to Twinmotion. So maybe Twinmotion 2025.1.2 or Twinmotion 2025.2, or maybe they might end up coming in Twinmotion 2026. Some of these other ones right here are in consideration. It would be nice to see MetaHuman make its way over to Twinmotion. Things like that look pretty cool, and it's quite impressive to see what the folks at Epic are now doing with this beautiful tool. So this is it for those who like to take a look at this, or possibly you'd like to see more about Twinmotion 2025.1.1. Links to this is going to be in the description, so do well to check it out. This new update release comes packaged with tons of bug fixes and impressive new features that Twinmotion users will definitely find super interesting. This powerhouse of a tool is now available, and you can simply go ahead, update yours, grab it, and start working with it. Of course, we've covered a couple of videos about this in the past, and for those who like to see more about this, links to this is going to be in the description, so do well to check it out. Tell me what you guys think about this one in the comment section, and of course, if you like this video or you learned something from this, you can go ahead and give a like, and don't forget to share with a friend. And until I see you guys in the next one, peace.